In step 4, we'll create and validate geodatabase topology that will identify buildings that overlap. First, we'll create the new topology with the rule building footprints must not overlap. Then in the catalog pane, we'll refresh the feature dataset so we can see and right-click on our newly created topology and validate it. And then last, in the catalog pane, we'll right-click the topology to view the properties and the number of errors, and then add the topology to our map view. Back in ArcGIS Pro, in the catalog pane, I'm going to right-click on the San Marcos feature dataset and select New and Topology to create our geodatabase topology. That opens up the Create Topology wizard, where you can see the name and cluster tolerance and ranks. I'm going to just leave it set with the default parameters. And then under feature classes, place a check next to building underscore footprints. Go ahead and click next. And then now I need to add my rule. And so I'm going to start by selecting the participating feature class, building underscore footprints. And then now I'm going to select the rule for my point, line, or polygonal feature class. And I can select rules that apply to features within a feature class or rules that apply to features between feature classes. In this case, I'm going to select must not overlap area and then click next. And in the summary page, I'm going to just review all my settings for my feature classes and rules. It's all set correctly and click finish. And that creates my geodatabase topology. But if I go to the catalog pane and expand the San Marcos feature dataset, I don't see it. I just need to refresh the feature dataset, and there I'll find my San Marcos underscore topology. Now, I want to show you how we identify the errors. I'm going to right click and go to the properties, and that opens up the topology properties where I can view my general settings, my feature classes, my rules, and even my errors. And if I go to errors and generate summary, it's going to say there are 0 errors. That is not correct. So if I go back to general, notice the status is not validated. So the rules haven't been compared against the building features. Go ahead and click OK. And now in the catalog pane, right click the topology and select validate. That validates all of the building features against the rules. So now when I right click the topology again and go to properties, notice the status is validated, errors exist. And if I go to the errors page and click generate summary, I can see there's 82 errors, 82 overlapping features in the building footprints feature class. Go ahead and click OK. And now I'm going to right click and add the topology to the current map where it's symbolized in a group layer. And we're interested in the polygon errors, and I can see them displayed in the map view, all 82 polygon errors. All right, go ahead and reset your interface, save your ArcGIS Pro project. In step 5, we'll view and fix our geodatabase topology errors. First, we'll activate the edit ribbon and enable geodatabase topology. Next, we'll click the error inspector and view our errors. And I really like the error inspector because it incrementally lists out each of my errors that I can step through one by one and resolve them and guarantee the quality of my feature class. Last, you'll use automated fixes and or manual edits to correct your topology errors. Back in ArcGIS Pro, I'm going to activate the edit ribbon. And on the edit ribbon, in the Manage Edits group, I'm going to click on the topology drop-down box and select San Marcos Geodatabase Topology. This activates our geodatabase topology. I'm also going to click on the Error Inspector button. This opens the Error Inspector view that lists all of my topology errors. In this case, it says there's 62. We know there's 82, but that's because the Map Extent button is enabled. It's only showing me the errors in the Map Extent. If I disable that, I can see there are 83 errors. 82 must not overlap errors, and then there's 1 must be larger than the cluster tolerance error. And this is a really small feature present in our data. And if I right-click the error, I can zoom to the error and then view the error in context in the map view. Again, it's a really small error. Now, with that same error selected in the error inspector, I can preview it over in the preview window, and I can also switch over to the details panel and view details about that error, including, for example, marking it as an exception. In this case, it's not an exception, so I'm going to uncheck that. I can also click on the fix panel and select automated fixes for this error. And that's the one I want. I just want to delete that little feature. It doesn't matter. And that resolves my error. Now, when I go back to the preview, I've moved to the next error in the error inspector window. And so if I right click on that error and say pan to, I can see that error in the map view in context. And there I can see there's two buildings that overlap. It looks like to me that that overlap should be associated with the building on the right. And so let's look at some of our automated fixes to resolve that issue. I'm going to do it by using the Fix Errors tool and then click on the topology error. And that gives me a context-sensitive menu with different solutions like removing the overlap or creating a new feature. In this case, I want to use the merge fix. So I'll select merge. That opens up the merge window and I can select which feature I want to merge it with. I want to merge it with the feature on the right. So I'll select that and then click merge. And that resolved my error. Now, I always default to check my automated fixes, but sometimes the automated fixes don't work. If I look at this next error and pan to it, I can see that I probably have, in this case, a coincident feature, two features directly on top of each other. If I go to the fix, my automated fixes are I could create a new feature, merge, or remove overlap, but that's not the fix I want. I just want to delete one of the duplicate features. And so from the edit ribbon, if I click on the select button and click on my error, I get the select multiple features and I can see I've got two coincident features. So I'm just going to select one of them. And then with that feature selected, click delete. And are you sure you want to delete the data? Yes. And that deletes my coincident feature and resolves my error. Now you can see I have 80 errors left. I resolved one cluster tolerance error and two building footprints must not overlap errors. If I flip on the map extent, it doesn't look like I have any errors, and that's because there's no errors in this map extent. So I typically keep that disabled so I can incrementally move through each error and make sure I resolve all the errors in my entire database. Sometimes the error doesn't seem to remove even though I fixed it, and so I'll click the validate button to validate within my extent. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the error inspector view. And turn off my topology layer. And on the edit ribbon, notice I have some outstanding edits because I edited geometry. I'm going to click save and save all features. And then I'm going to reset my topology dropdown back to no topology. While geodatabase is a persistent rule-based topology stored as an object in your geodatabase, map topology is a temporary topology accessible only in an ArcGIS edit session to perform edits on geometry shared by two or more features. And so in our final step, we'll enable map topology and edit an edge. First, we'll switch the topology to map topology. Next, we'll open the Modify Features pane and click Edit Vertices. And then in our final step, in the Edit Vertices pane, we'll switch to the Edges panel and then edit a shared edge. Back in ArcGIS Pro, I'm going to make sure the edit ribbon is active. And then in the topology dropdown, I'm going to select Map Topology. Now I want to zoom in on my area of interest. And we're going to locate and edit a couple of buildings that have a shared wall in downtown San Marcos. So I'm going to zoom in on downtown San Marcos, kind of just south and west of the theater, that round building right there, at the corner of University and Edward Gary Street. And there you can see my two building footprints that have a shared wall. And so on the edit ribbon, under the features group, I'm going to click on the modify button. And then in the Modify Features pane, I'm going to locate the Edit Vertices tool and click on it and open it. And so in the Modify Features Edit Vertices tool, you can see I'm in the Features panel right now. And so if I select a feature, it selects that feature and I can edit the individual vertices for that feature. I'm going to go ahead and clear that selection. And then notice there's an Edges panel. If I turn Map Topology off, the Edges panel goes away. And if I turn it back on, the Edges panel is accessible again. So if I click on the Edges panel, that creates the map topology within my current extent. And if I select a single edge, I can edit that shared edge between the two features now. And so in this case, I'm just going to add a couple of vertices to the edge and then move them. So I create a little zigzag. Once I've completed my shared edit, I'm going to click Finish on the construction toolbar, and that's going to perform the edit to the shared edge. And if I go back to features and select the top feature and then the bottom feature, notice that both features have had that shared boundary or edge edited. I'm going to go ahead and clear my selection, reset my topology, save the edits to my feature geometry, save ArcGIS Pro project. All right, that concludes the demonstration.